Yeah.
Healthcare. Okay, cool.
Good job.
And Addie, I added our LinkedIn stuff on there just a minute ago, so that was another way people could connect.
That's perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And Addie, I'm not able to see the YouTube live stream. But I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, moderator man.
Oh.
I didn't even get your name. Sorry.
No problem. I space it. My name is Robert.
Okay.
Like I said, Tanner paused the live stream, so I can't.
Okay.
Now I did find it. If you just go to the Mentorly page on YouTube, you can see other live videos that are happening right now, and it should just pop up when Tanner unpauses it, and should be 2 minutes.
Okay, so that's probably where it is. So all of our the people that registered in advance are being sent there, so they won't be on this Zoom call. I just didn't, Addie didn't know that part, so I kind of wanted to just fill her in on that really quick. I had just watched that YouTube video. We were having some issues getting me this appointment with our firewall, so we won't see them. They'll just be doing the live thing, and he can ask us the questions if they're relevant to the slide that we're on. So that's kind of how we're going to proceed.
Okay. Are we still going to do the questions at the end too?
Yeah. I just said if there's some people that are popping up with a question about what's on the screen, feel free to ask it. We're not like super formal or anything, and we're happy to answer what we can. So we'll do that.
Great. Sounds good. When you do pull up YouTube, probably just make sure to mute your YouTube, or you'll be hearing yourself, and there will be a ton of echoing and everything.
Yeah, I already had that problem yesterday. Let's not do that again.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
I did something yesterday.
Should be good.
Okay, cool. Actually, I've got to set a couple things to do not disturb on my screen really quick too.
Very wise, Rochelle. I'll do the same.
I feel like Friday is the new Monday, where I get all of my strange requests on Friday afternoon. I'm like, wait, what's happening? I got kicked out of our Pulse yesterday, Addie, during a meeting and could not. I was in the middle of presenting and couldn't get back in. That was.
Oh, I had that a couple of weeks ago. That's the only thing I don't like about Zoom. I can never figure out how to do like call-in audio, and I lost my audio because my internet went out. And I was like, no. So I know how you feel.
Yeah, sometimes some crazy things just happen where you're like, wait, no. And so it was, and then I came back and I was in 2 meetings. So that was new.
Okay, guys, I think we're live.
All right.
So maybe we'll give it 1 or 2 minutes and wait for some people to get on, and then we'll get started.
I see it right now.
Great.
It's almost kind of bizarre. I shared it on LinkedIn, and it's like I can see our screen with our faces on my LinkedIn post. I don't know if I like it.
Oh, that's cool though. I'm glad you shared it on there. I should have done that. I've got like I've got YouTube, the actual thing, and then this one. So
You need like 12 screens. You could just.
I actually have my iPad over here too.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. It looks like we've got a few people who have joined, and I'm sure a few more will join in a minute. But just so everyone knows, this is Intermountain Healthcare, as you can see, and I'll let you guys take it from here. And if anyone has any questions, please just post them in the chat, and we'll try and answer them.
All right, thank you. Hi, all. I'm Rochelle Cavello with Intermountain Healthcare. I am a talent sourcing specialist with our talent acquisition team. So that means I'm out there looking for people for our harder to fill roles and assisting with different programs, our diversity initiatives, events like this, a lot of things all over the board like that. I've been with Intermountain Healthcare just over 10 years now. I started down at Dixie Regional and I've worked at several facilities in between. And I can say talent acquisition is my spot. I've done CNA work, MA work, food services, housekeeping, and worked my way to this spot right here. And I love it. So I'm happy to be here today. And thank you all for joining us. And Addie, I'll let you do your quick intro.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As Rochelle said, thank you for joining us. My role at Intermountain Healthcare is that of a talent advisor, which basically means I am both a recruiter and a team lead and kind of a project specialist too. So my recruiting areas of expertise are with our health plans, Select Health, and a lot of the job families that I hire for there include sales, finance, actuarial, marketing, broker relations, a lot of the really insurance specific positions. And then also for the Intermountain Healthcare System, I hire all of our human resources positions. There is a team of about 40, I think, of all of us in total on the talent acquisition team at Intermountain Healthcare. We all kind of have a niche portfolio. So we'll go over, a broad variety of topics of roles that we hire for today, but that is a little bit about me. So thank you for joining us.
All right, and I'm going to take it back over and go into a little bit about just the history of Intermountain. And as you can see here on this slide, we've done some pretty cool things over the years. Intermountain has been around for a long time in Utah under a variety of names. Back in 1905, W.H. Groves donated some money to purchase the land that LDS Hospital currently sits on. And I don't know how many of you have been in that building, but if in the administrative offices, there's a back wall that actually is the original foundation of the hospital is still there and standing, and it's now exposed so that people can see it in the hospital. It's a really cool thing. I've worked in that facility and was there when they uncovered it and they decided to leave it open. They had a nursing school, a lot of physician training at that facility. So we've always really been into the research of things and doing things that way. So you can see here on this slide too, we had the world's first medical computer developed right at LDS Hospital here in Salt Lake in the 50s. And one of the other things that I always love to point out on this slide is because there's a lot of confusion about LDS Hospital, and we're not part of the LDS Church, but the hospital was given to Intermountain Healthcare by the LDS Church in 75. And it was under the stipulation that we continue to operate them as nonprofit hospitals. And we've done that continuously for last about 50 years now. So it's a pretty cool system, and we have grown obviously quite a bit since those first 15 original hospitals, and we'll talk about some of our growth in a minute. We had Life Flight. We were one of the first companies to do that. In the 80s, we started doing more stuff, clinics and home care rather than just the hospitals. Then we did a restructure where we broke that all down, started Select Health in the 90s. And then we'll jump ahead a couple more years. And in 2011, we did begin offering health insurance benefits to all of our employees' domestic partners, which was a good move for the company. We really value our employees at Intermountain, and I've been here 10 years, and so I could personally speak to that. I've loved it. 2018, we started Civica RX with some other hospitals in the area, and that's to help reduce the price of some of these generic drugs. Prescription costs are kind of insane in a lot of areas. So we're really trying to do our part to keep lowering those costs and doing the best thing for the community and remain a nonprofit as well. So that was a huge thing that we did. I actually created this graph you can see in 2019. But 2020's kind of been a wash. There hasn't been a lot going on this year. So we haven't added any new things, but we do have a lot of things going on. We have recently acquired Health Partners of Nevada, and they are Intermountain Healthcare employees. We do have some facilities right over the border in Idaho, in Burley, and we are just starting to partner with some affiliate hospitals in Wyoming, and our dietetics program will be there managing some of those programs, and people will be transferring back and forth from Salt Lake to Wyoming, a couple days in Wyoming and a couple days here. So we are branching out and expanding continuously, trying to serve the Intermountain region. And so I had mentioned all of our growth, and we started with the 15 hospitals. I'm just waiting for this next slide to show up from the other end while I'm talking here. But we do have 23 hospitals now, and one virtual hospital where they do everything by telehealth, talking to all of the patients that way. Like I'd mentioned in my previous slide, we are in Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, and now we've got some virtual stuff going on in Alaska even. So we've got places all over where we are growing. 170 physician clinics. So those are, the I apologize, not the Select Health, the Instacare clinics, kids care. A ton of doctors' offices are in those. I think since this slide, we're about at 40,000 employees now. So we're continuously growing all the time. We have over 2,500 different job codes that you could do at Intermountain. So that's, just shows you how many different things we have to offer. We're a lot more than nurses and doctors. And I know Addie's going to cover that just a little bit later. And as Addie had mentioned again in her previous slide, Select Health is who she hires for, and we have 875,000 Select Health members. So that's a large insurance company that we're part of, and we partner with. Patients, a lot of those things. And then the 5 community clinics are a lot of those charity care as well. So we've got those throughout. I believe those are just in the Salt Lake Valley. Addie, you can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think they're mainly around the Salt Lake area. So that's just a little bit about the scope of what we do and who we are and where we're at in the valley. Again, great company. We've liked it, so we're here. So our next one is just our mission. So at Intermountain Healthcare, our mission is to help people live the healthiest lives possible. And that goes over a lot of things, not just, treating patients in the hospital. We do a lot of preventative work. And as an employee, we have a Live Well program where there's a lot of motivational things that we do for coworkers, teams you can join. A lot of our facilities have gyms that you could work out at. So it's more than just helping you get better from something. There's a lot of preventative care that's going into healthcare, and I know that's changing everywhere, and we're happy to be a part of that. It's been great. And then Addie, I'm gonna hand it over to you here.
Awesome. Thanks, Rochelle. So this slide here, Rochelle, I think if you click one more time, it'll add, there we go.
There you go.
So this just gives an overview of our structure. As Rochelle mentioned, we've grown pretty significantly and continue to do so over recent years. Previously being predominantly in Utah, we had a structure where we kind of had individual roles in leadership in the different regions that we had hospitals and facilities. But as we've grown, we've found the need to create a structure that works for us as we scale our operations. And it also creates a more consistent experience for our customers. So what you're seeing on the right-hand side of this slide is what we call the jukebox. Perhaps the most confusing organizational structure that's out there, but once you know it, it kind of makes sense. But it also gives a nice visual to the types of roles, at least broadly, that we hire for. So we, of course, have our community-based care group and our specialty-based care group. So community-based care being kind of those primary care physicians, preventative care, wellness type programs to try to keep you healthy, and specialty-based care being a lot of the specialists for, unique needs that patients may have, or hospitals, things like that. And then branching kind of across our organization, we have our medical group, which is all of our physician clinics. We hire a number of roles there. That's a lot of the volume of recruiting that we do from a support staff perspective. And then we have a lot of other roles as well. So Rochelle already took the words out of my mouth. We hire more than doctors and nurses. As you can see here, we have basically shared support services, because kind of all those normal corporate jobs that it takes to run an organization. But we also have some cool areas within the organization as well. We do a lot of our own research and academics. We have the foundation and charitable giving that not only helps fund some of the research and work that we do, but also provides charity care to our patients that aren't able maybe to afford their care otherwise. And then we have Select Health, the health plan. So that is an overview kind of our organization at a broad level. Since our audience today is primarily going to be interested in potential job opportunities with Intermountain Healthcare, we wanted to talk a little bit more about the process as well. So if Rochelle, if you don't mind advancing to the next slide for me, please. We wanted to talk about the interview and hiring process. So we'll give you the website where all of our jobs are posted here in a moment, but basically all of our positions are online. We only consider applicants who apply through our system. And basically an overview of the process that you might expect if you decide to apply with us is which is generally so you can read a little bit more about the organization in the meantime while you wait on next steps. And kind of during that initial period, I would say in the about a couple of days to a week after you apply, what's happening behind the scenes is one of our 40-ish recruiters is reviewing your resume along with others. So that period, like I said, it can vary depending on position, but our role as recruiters is to screen for initial qualifications for the roles that we've posted, and then present a slate of qualified candidates to the hiring manager. So usually once we've narrowed that funnel a little bit, you might receive one of a couple of communications from us. You'll either hear, we appreciate you applying, but we're looking for something different for this role. You're still being considered, but kind of hang tight. Or you may receive an invitation to participate in the next stage in the process, which generally is a phone interview or a one-way video interview. We use a platform called HireVue to do the majority of our interviewing. And we rely on that really heavily as an opportunity to get to know you better and kind of your interest in the role that you've applied to. So that's a big piece of our process. From there, should you advance as a candidate, what you can expect is some version of a live interview. We've adapted pretty quickly to all of these live interviews are virtual right now. So should you apply for a position with us here in the near future, you can expect multiple virtual interactions with us from a hiring perspective. But that live interview would be more of a two-way exchange between you and a hiring manager, kind of mimicking a normal in-person interview process. Some other things that you might expect from our interview process at Intermountain Healthcare is we traditionally, at least as the hiring process advances, we tend to like to do what we call panel interviews or kind of like stakeholder interviews. So it's not always you and one hiring manager. It may be that there are 2 or 3 individuals participating from Intermountain in your interview process. So we like to try to tell candidates that up front just so they know what to expect. We tend to work really closely and integrated with other teams and departments. So we found that that's a really effective way to interview when we're considering new employees. So you might expect that. And then from an interview content perspective, we rely pretty heavily on what are called behavioral-based interview questions, which some people may be well familiar with, but for those that aren't, basically our interview style is to ask about specific experiences that you've had in your past as it relates to the job that you're applying to. So there may be some theoretical questions or tell us about your strengths, weaknesses, interests, etc. But we do tend to really drill down on competencies that are important to the role and to us as an organization when we're going throughout the interview process. So that's what you can expect should you advance. But also, we would like to share with you next, Rochelle, if you would go to the next slide, please. These are some of the positions we're hiring right now. So we have I checked this morning, I think we had 260 active positions on our website right now. So we are still hiring in earnest. This obviously is a very small snippet of what is available right now. But a huge focus for us at the moment are our temporary COVID support positions. So if you or any connections of yours are interested in temporary work that they could start right now and they're interested in supporting their communities that way, we have a couple of different opportunities to support our facilities and communities through the COVID pandemic. We have screeners and greeters at all of our facilities, making sure that the individuals that come into our space are not showing symptoms of COVID-19. So critical role to our staffing model right now. We also have hotline and registration, as well as COVID testing tech. So that's a big portion of the positions that are posted right now. But we also wanted to give an overview of some other positions that are active on the website. So Rochelle, I don't know if you want to talk through a couple of these, because I know you support a couple of these portfolios more than I have in the past. If you want to talk through maybe the entry level and the clinical ones.
Yeah, of course. And there is actually obviously some overlap in many of these, and there's many more entry level ones, but I just kind of did a quick overview of what we have right now. We do have our own laundry facility that launders everything, and they're continuously hiring. It's not glamorous, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door at Intermountain Healthcare, and it's honestly an amazing facility. Housekeeping as well right now, as Addie had mentioned, with COVID being on the forefront of everything we're doing. Housekeepers are one of the most important people that often get overlooked in their roles. They're there making sure the facilities are safe and clean for our all of our patients as well as our employees. And CNAs, we call them patient care techs at Intermountain Healthcare. They're also a crucial part, and they're one of those entry level. And that's testing tech and that other category of our temporary positions. You can have a CNA or MA certification. So again, if you or anyone you know is just looking for a great way to get started and support our community, those are a great one. And a lot of our clinical roles that are on this list are ones that we typically have open and are always looking to fill. Nurses, everybody kind of knows what a nurse does. We're always hiring for those throughout the state. Some of them are harder to fill just because we are such a big, diverse state in where we're located. Sometimes it'll be really hard to fill a role in Delta or out there in an area where it's not hugely populated. And once a nurse works there, they typically stay until they're retired. So sometimes it's hard to fill those roles just based on that experience. But we're always needing those. Respiratory therapists. We've had a lot in Utah where we've gone through some gaps. You know, our air quality has gotten a little better since not everybody's on the road, but our air here does require lots of respiratory therapies. So we're constantly hiring for respiratory therapists. Med techs is one that not a lot of people know about, but we're always in need of, and it's a really growing field. They're working with doctors looking at a lot of results of laboratory stuff and kind of going over that right there with them. So it's right there on the forefront of, you know, changing, and what Addie was speaking about earlier, where we have lots of research roles. Med techs play a part in a lot of things having to do with the lab. Rad techs is on there, and that's radiologic technicians, and they're doing X-rays, a lot of other things in their portfolio as well. So those are some of our clinical ones that we're always seeing. And a lot of the growth of our healthcare, where we continuously see people that we need to find, are genetic counseling as well. Anything that has to do with genetic research is a huge growing field right now. So we see a lot of those roles coming up in the clinical portfolios. And those are just some of the ones that are always open. They're a great career path because we always need you. So that's my spill on those. And Addie, I'll turn it back over to you on the business ones.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that, Rochelle. Those are a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I knew you would describe it better than I would. Thank you.
No, you're great.
We also have a business technical executive recruiting team, which actually happens to be the team that I'm on. These are a number of roles that we're hiring right now, but I would say from a broad perspective, you know, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, we have everything from finance and accounting, HR, marketing, you know, regulatory and compliance, a lot of different corporate type positions that we hire in-house. And then I tried to put a mix of different positions that we're hiring for right now, kind of within these different spaces. So we're currently hiring a content marketing specialist. This one's specifically for Select Health. If you have a background or know someone that's done content marketing before, requires some really strong writing skills, would be hugely involved with Select Health's blog. This individual also contributes to the content funnel for Intermountain Healthcare. So there's a really good opportunity to write and be involved in a variety of different topics from a marketing perspective. We also hire a lot of sales positions at Select Health, primarily being in health insurance sales, which requires a license to do so. But you don't have to have that background or that license to be considered for most of our sales positions at Select Health. Right now we have a Medicare sales director, which is a little bit niche, but I thought that I'd take the opportunity to say, if you have a sales background, we always are looking for that type of talent. It's helpful if you've had experience in the healthcare space, whether it's medical device sales, any type of sales or business development with long-term care, rehab, other types of facilities where you might interact with key decision makers in the healthcare space. We're always looking to talk to those individuals. And we have a number of executive positions posted right now. One of them in particular, we have a CFO position for one of our areas. So I threw that on here just to give you an idea of kind of the broad range of positions we have on our website right now. And for technical, we hire a lot of IT, IS, technical related roles in-house. We pretty much do everything aside from, we do work with a contracting company for our desktop support, but pretty much anything else from a technical aspect we do in-house at Intermountain Select Health. We have a data architect position that is posted right now for our population health company called Castell. But we routinely have data architect, data analyst, both technical and statistical positions listed on our website. That's a growing area for us. Intermountain almost has an insatiable appetite for analytics. So if that's the type of background that you have, we would love to talk with you, even if we don't have a position posted, right now. And then we have an accredited education coordinator. This is more of a professional individual contributor type role that is in that kind of business space that helps manage a lot of things related to education that might be required from some of our positions and facilities. So again, a really wide range of positions that we have. We've, of course, listed the careers website here where you can see all of our job openings. There's also an opportunity to sign up for job alerts. If you can't find exactly what you're interested in today, we can alert you with an email if you'd like to give us your contact information and tell us a little bit more about what you're looking for.
And then we just have one last, and let's see if we can get it to play. It won't play. We had, there we go. Thank you. And we just wanted to share that because it really does perfectly sum up what we do at Intermountain and what we're about. And that was the end of our formal presentation, and I'm not sure if we've had any questions come in on YouTube throughout the video. We haven't really been checking that, at least I haven't, that were relevant to any slides. So if there's any questions, we have some time right now that we've set aside to answer anything for people.
Yeah, so if anyone has any other questions, put them in now. I know I don't think we got audio with the video, but I think that's fine.
Okay.
Someone did ask, is Intermountain Healthcare on a non-clinical hiring freeze at this time? They asked that before you went over that whole slide, so I'm assuming they are clear on that now. But those are the only, it looks like those are the only questions we've gotten on the chat.
Yeah, and maybe just to expand on that question a little bit, like you said, it was probably clear we are not on a hiring freeze for non-clinical positions right now, but we have during COVID developed a pretty rigorous position approval process. So if you see a role that's posted on our website, we have every intention to fill it and continue in hiring and make a long-term space for that role. We're trying to be really mindful up front and do a thorough analysis to make sure we need positions before we kind of put them out into the universe. So, COVID could always change the trajectory of any organization, like we've learned, but through at least what we've developed, we've really tried to do this on the front end. So if you see a role out there, we have no intention of, doing like layoffs or anything like that in the future. So we went through a brief pause in hiring just to make sure we were vetting the right positions before we put them out on the website. But no, we're not on like a full-blown freeze for any one area of the organization.
There was one more question that just came in. It says, how do you handle a candidate applying to multiple positions?
Yeah. Do you want me to take that, Rochelle?
Yeah, go ahead. You're more versed in this one.
Sure. So it kind of depends on if they are similar positions or not. So particularly with our entry level positions where we hire for the same exact job code a lot, it might just be like a different facility or full-time versus part-time. We try to share candidates with those hiring managers and kind of plug you in where appropriate. What I will say is you always want to apply for every single position that you're interested in, but particularly when you get to that video interview stage, we do a lot of sharing of resources. So once you've gotten to that point and invested that time in the video interview, we like to try to recycle that, if you will, where appropriate, so that you're not investing more time answering the same questions over and over. There may be times where it is appropriate to do that if you apply for, an accountant position versus like a data analyst that has to do with financial information, where there might be some nuances that are different. But generally, my main piece of advice is you want to apply to every single role that you're interested in, and then contact with the recruiter. When you get your confirmation email after you apply, you'll know who the individual recruiter is for that role. It's never a bad idea to reach out and say, hey, I also applied for this position, and just kind of make them aware. So sometimes we can kind of coordinate hiring activities for roles. So hopefully that answers that question.
We've had a few more. I see one about post-COVID remote positions that I know you spoke to a little bit yesterday, Addie. If you could take that one.
Sure. So all of our non-clinical staff that can work from home right now is doing so. Between Intermountain and Select Health, we have about 40,000 employees, and the last I heard, we have about 10,000 of them, so a quarter of them working from home right now, and the majority of us have been told to plan to do so through the end of the year. and then things will be evaluated. You're probably not going to find any roles on our website that say this is a remote position. That's something we hadn't really dipped our toe into the water too much pre-COVID. So we're still figuring out how to do that to a certain extent. I think we'll see a lot more remote opportunities down the road because we've figured out a lot of the logistics on how to do that now. So I would say, you're always welcome to apply for any position. And if you're exclusively looking for remote work, I might try to find a space to make that information known, whether it's in a cover letter or making contact with the recruiter of the job you applied to. I've found in my own personal recruiting over previous months that I have some hiring managers that are really open to that, and some that are still wanting to go a little bit more of the traditional route. And even though you'd be working remote, kind of have them in the Intermountain service area, so Utah, Idaho, Nevada. But we're definitely becoming more open to that and trying to make that work on a larger scale.
Thank you. And then I see one here about, are you hiring any supply chain roles? And I know we just recently were, and unfortunately I'm unable to find them right at the moment. But if you check our careers page, I know supply chain ones are being posted often.
Yeah, they are. They've had a couple of positions even throughout the last couple of months with COVID. That's been really important to make sure our caregivers, it always is, to make sure they have the supplies that they need, but a lot with conserving our personal protective equipment, making sure we have enough, planning for surges. So our supply chain has been hiring a fair amount over the last little bit. And we have a recruiter that hires exclusively for that area. So if we need to, we can kind of link you up.
Yep. And then this is, we've got time for just a few more. And how do you recommend a candidate follow up after applying for a position?
I would say just a simple email. I always like, hi, I applied to this position. I wanted to be able to make a connection and formally introduce myself. You could also do that through LinkedIn. I would say either as an option, direct email or connecting on LinkedIn. But I always love a candidate that does that and kind of tells me a little bit more of the story beyond their resume. So this is why I'm particularly interested, or this is a unique skill that I have. So yeah, it doesn't have to be long. I would say keep it brief. I applied to this job. This is why I'm interested. And here's what I bring to the table. Love that.
Okay. And then does Intermountain hire or allow interns for social workers? And I know we hire social workers quite often. And honestly, our internship stuff is all kind of, they're evaluating. I know today they are meeting to go over what we're doing for this fall and developing the plan. So as with everything else, COVID has kind of thrown a wrench in a lot of things, but they are going to be allowing some in some aspects. So they're meeting today. So I don't have an answer for that one right now. And then I think that was all that we had for today. So we do have a virtual booth starting in just a minute, isn't it, Lindy? Or I'm sorry, not Lindy. She's messaging me on something else. Addie, I've got to be in another meeting.
At 11:30. Yeah, okay. 11:30. Yep, and I would encourage anyone that wants to join that. We may have to cut that one just a little bit short, so if you can join, it doesn't have to be right at 11, but maybe within the first half an hour would be awesome.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Guys.
Thanks for joining us.